Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this INNOWWIDE online session. Introduction to the second INNOWWIDE call for viability assessment projects. Before we start, two practical information. First, the session is recorded, so you will get the link to the recording later on, together with these slides. The presentation will be going through in a moment. And then the second information is that you can raise your questions and comments in the dedicated chat box here on the GoToWebinar platform. We'll be collecting them during the presentations, and we'll open the Q&A session at the very end of the two presentations, basically, of this talk. Okay, let's start. So today's webinar is, as you can well imagine, fully dedicated to INNOWWIDE open call for viability assessment projects and how this funding scheme can enable the internationalization, support the internationalization of European SMEs. My name is Chiara Davalli. I'm Senior Project Leader at EBN, the European network gathering more than 200 business support organizations, such as incubators, accelerators, that are supporting innovative entrepreneurship in Europe and beyond. Together with me on this session, running this talk, is Peter Lalvani from Eureka. Peter, couple of sentences about you and Eureka.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Chiara. My name is Peter Lalvani. I work at Eureka. It's a network of more than 45 countries dedicated to implementing support programs for collaborative, innovative projects, and INNOWWIDE is one of the programs I work on along with the partners of the INNOWWIDE consortium.
Thank you. Okay, so we briefly told you who we are, me and Peter. We would like to understand a bit better who's on this webinar. So we are about to launch a few polls, and I would ask you to answer them very, very quickly. So we start with the first one. We are asking you a little bit about your organization. If you belong to an SME or startup, an incubator, cluster, tech park, to an R&D center, university, tech centers, tech transfer centers, or from the service sector. I give you 10 seconds more, and then I close the poll. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. So most of you are SMEs or startups, and then we have business support organizations and service sector mainly on this session. Very good, thank you. We move to the next question. We would like to know if your organization yourself are based in Europe or in Horizon 2020 associated country or outside Europe. So how many of you are participating as direct beneficiaries of this call for VAPs, and how many of you are here because might join VAPs as subcontractors, as local partners? 3, 2, 1. I close the poll, and I see that 92% are from Europe. Great, thank you very much. Okay, we move to the next questions. We had to split it in 3 different polls because we are going to ask you about the sector of activity. INNOWWIDE is not sector focused. I mean, we don't have a specific sector of interest. It's very open and transversal in this sense, but we are interested in learning a bit more about you indeed, and from which sector do you come from. So first round, you see agriculture, fisheries, manufacturing, energy, ICT, health, give you a bit less of time. We have other 2 questions coming regarding the sectors. So 3, 2, 1, stop. So ICT 41%. Okay, very good. I go ahead with the next round about sectors. Here you see aeronautics and space, nature and biodiversity, constructions, transport and logistics, security and defense. Okay, I see many of you are in the nature and biodiversity sector, followed by aeronautics and transport. Very interesting. So 3, 2, 1, and I close. And now the third, even public administration, security and defense. I must say it's okay, there are a few of you in this sector. And then the last bunch of sectors, cultural and creative industries, wholesale and retail trade, and other. Okay, some of you also in the cultural and creative industries. Okay. So 3, 2, 1, and I close this one as well. Still a few questions, as you may know. Indeed, INNOWWIDE is here to help you addressing new markets outside Europe. And we would like to know among the European participants that are on this call, where would you like to go to internationalize with this funding scheme? Developing countries, large emerging economies, or developed countries? Give you 5 seconds more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we close it. 80% of you voted. Most of you, 40% interested in developed countries, followed by developing countries and large emerging economies, more or less 30% each. Okay, thank you, very interesting again. Still another question to have an idea of why you are interested in this VAP call. So in this framework, are you partnering or you are looking for partners of which types of suppliers, customers, consultants, a legal advisor, R&D provider in the target countries, so outside Europe? Either you already have a partner, established partner, or I mean, you are looking for a partner in these weeks in order to apply for this call. I see many of you are partnering or looking for customers, followed by consultants and suppliers. Small percentage interested in R&D providers too. Okay, thank you very much. So it's a little bit like if you introduce yourself to me and Pete. So we thank you for this introduction, but we still have a couple of questions just to know a couple of information more. First of all, if you already checked the INNOWWIDE call text and guidelines, so if you did a bit of preparatory work in advance, okay, I give you 3 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. So 75% already checked them. Great. And last question is to understand if some of you already registered onto the INNOWWIDE portal. or if you're waiting for this webinar to get the full picture and then enter the portal. So 20% yes, 80% no. Okay, I close this poll and thank you very much. I've finished with all the questions for you. So let's start. We have a better understanding on who are we speaking with today. So I won't take any longer, and I would tell you a little bit about INNOWWIDE. So INNOWWIDE is an Horizon 2020 program, so EC-funded program that aims to bring European highly innovative SMEs to the forefront of international markets by opening two calls that will allow companies to conduct viability assessment projects in cooperation with local stakeholders. As I was mentioning you before, the program follows a bottom-up approach with no specific topics to be addressed. The INNOWWIDE program is powered by a group of organizations led by CDTI, and that counts different partners, companies like SPI and Standbys, national funding agencies like the ones from Austria, France, Spain, Germany, Netherlands, Finland, and then two networks, Eureka and EBN. So the core of our work in the framework of INNOWWIDE is to design, prepare, and manage these calls for proposals to conduct viability assessment projects. It's about assessing the impact of the project, let's say at project level, so of the overall funding scheme, and of course of the individual VAPs that we have funded, we are about to fund. We conduct dissemination communication activities about the project, the calls. This is what we are doing today, for example, and also to mobilize relevant stakeholders. So, for example, to facilitate the introduction to international partners if European companies ask us support in this sense. And then all this work is going to inform some policy conclusions on research, innovation, internationalization activities. As you well understood, we are running two calls. The first one was run in 2019, and now we have the second and last one open. We are granting a total budget of 7.2 million euro that are funding 120 European companies and for 120 projects, each project getting 60,000 euro. Projects that, as I was mentioning before, allows European companies to work with partners in developing countries, large emerging economies, and developed countries. So as far as these are not European countries or countries, let's say, from the list of the associated countries to Horizon 2020 program, all markets are good, I mean, for applying. As I was telling you, we have successfully run and closed the first call for VAPs in last year, with more than 900 proposal registrations, 379 submitted proposals, and out of these 379, 50 were funded. Some interesting figures, 33% main contacts are female out of these 50 funded companies. 6 out of 50 are startups. Top home countries, so most of the applications came from Spain, and most of the target countries, so the destinations, VAPs, funded VAPs had as destinations USA, India, and Brazil. So as you well know, the second INNOWWIDE call is now open for applications and till the 31st of March. Are you ready? We are here to give you a bit more information and to answer your questions. So don't forget to write your questions in the chat. And I now leave the floor to Peter, who's going to guide you through the VAP call.
Thank you, Chiara. Chiara's already gone through some of the overall features of INNOWWIDE, and I'm just going to go into a bit more detail in my part of the presentation. Chiara's mentioned that the call is now open. Applications are open until the 31st of March. We're talking about applications for viability assessment projects in international markets, with the end goal being to bring a new product, service, or process to the foreign market, possibly through an innovative application of existing technologies, methodologies, or business processes by means of future innovative cooperation projects with entities in the foreign market. So the emphasis there, it should really be on the future innovative cooperation projects. So the aim of these VAPs is really to set up a future partnership with the local partner, which involves innovation, which involves research and development in some form. So just in terms of the overall timeline, with the deadline being the 31st of March, we plan to send out the results, to publish the results, and to begin signing the grant agreements with the successful participants at the end of June, and projects will therefore plan to begin at the beginning of September and will last until the spring of next year. So that's the time frame for the second call. Well, what exactly is a VAP that we are funding in this program? Well, the VAPs, the viability assessment projects, are a comprehensive, balanced, and coherent set of preliminary technical, market, legal, and socio-economic assessments intended to validate the viability of international innovative business solutions along emerging global value chains. So they should identify and assess key framework conditions which could favor or block the effective deployment of collaborative solutions and models in target third countries. So this is really just something to give you an idea of the type of activities which you could envisage in your collaboration with the third country. In terms of so a few more details of what a VAP is. They must feature a co-creation partnership with a local partner. In this model of INNOWWIDE, this partner is involved as a subcontractor. So each European or associated country beneficiary of a VAP will have to subcontract a partner from the third country, which could be a supplier, customer, consultant, legal advisor, etc. So the different types which Chiara's already mentioned in the poll. It will include, the VAP will include a wide variety of activities to explore the practical, technological, and commercial viability of the innovative solution and how it meets the needs of local conditions and demands. So how the VAP is tailored to each local market will be an important aspect of that. And quite a few activities are included in the VAP, and I'll go into a bit more detail into those activities. Each VAP lasts for 6 months. I've mentioned it should be the first phase of a potential innovative cooperation project with an actor in that country in the short or medium term. So it really is intended as the first phase of a longer term, or let's say a medium term cooperation. And the total project cost should be at least 86,000 euros to be funded, with that grant of 60,000 euros from INNOWWIDE, and the rest coming from own funding. The 50% plus 50% there refers to the fact that 30,000 will be transferred at the beginning of the project, and the remaining 30,000 is conditional upon completion of the project. And so I think the last point we've mentioned. Onto the next slide. Who can apply for a VAP for the call? So SMEs, including young companies and startups from any sector. The beneficiary does have to be an enterprise, so a business corporation or a cooperative engaged in an economic activity, so selling products or services on the market at a given price. Again, the beneficiary must be from an EU member state or a Horizon 2020 associated country. The project must give insights into the following aspects: so the technical feasibility, a business model, legal aspects, political aspects, investments needed, or exploitation. So those are some of the things that the project must clarify or provide more insights into. In terms of the geographical coverage, there are 3 broad categories of countries that VAPs are aimed at. So the first one we can mention is the developed countries. So you can see on the slide there, and all of this information is on the website as well, with the list of countries. So the developed, the large emerging economy, and the developing. You can see that really, I mean, these are not exhaustive. So this is also mentioned in the call text and the call guidelines on the website. If you don't see a particular country in the list, it doesn't mean that you can't have a VAP with that country. So other countries are also, most other countries are also eligible as target countries for VAPs. So there's our website. Feel free to go on to innowwide.eu if you haven't already been there, to explore what's available in terms of documents, in terms of there are videos which show some of the experiences from the first call, so you can see what kind of projects were funded and are currently ongoing. And there's quite a few other resources on the website as well, including the link to the portal and how to apply. You can also see here the guidelines. So yeah, all of those details are there on that guidelines section of the website. In terms of the detailed eligibility criteria, you can go through this from the website. You can find all of this information there. I think most of this has been mentioned, so I won't spend too much time on that. The activities, which is very important. Which activities will you actually be undertaking in the VAP? One of the essential ones is this co-creation and technology uptake facilitation, involving the definition of a complementary joint R&D project with the local subcontractor or another local partner. So as part of the activities of this VAP, it is essential that you define the future R&D project with that local partner. That is one of the activities which you're obliged to undertake. So this isn't really an option. This is something that every project must have. And then you can choose 3 from the other remaining activities in this category. But this will be clearly explained in fact, it is clearly explained in the guidelines and on the application form as well. Once again, these are other activities which must be undertaken. You can choose 4 from this list on the left-hand side with the market research activities, one of the compliance verification activities, and then the other ones are optional in terms of business prospection trips and promotional technical material preparation. So as I've said, there must be 4 elements from the first section, 4 from the second, 1 from the third, and then the others are optional. So in terms of the evaluation criteria, we can see that there are 3 main categories, which when you come to the application form, you'll clearly be asked to address these 3 categories, which are excellence, impact, and quality and efficiency of implementation. What's been highlighted here is that is under impact, the ability to generate co-creation and future international cooperation projects, which I've mentioned is a very important part and an essential part of the VAP. And also under the quality and efficiency of implementation is a description of how the beneficiary SME and the subcontractor, especially the strategic ones, will be involved and how they are related. So the team, let's say how the project implementation team is built between the two main participants in the project, which are the lead SME and the subcontractor, the main subcontractor, because there can be more subcontractors. And this is something which is explained a bit further here with the fact that there are no subcontracting thresholds or ceilings. And the weight of subcontracting is to be decided by the applicant. So third country subcontractors must be independent from the applicant SME. So they must be an autonomous local entity. But more than one subcontractor is allowed. So you may have you may find that your main strategic subcontractor, which would be, let's say, the partner for a future R&D project, is not sufficient for certain types of activities, whether they be legal activities or other, let's say, verification, technology verification activities, for example. You may need other subcontractors. That's fine. You may even need subcontractors from your home country. It's also not a problem, but the main subcontractor should be the strategic partner in the local country. In terms of the funding conditions, I've already mentioned that there'll be an advance payment for the successful applicants of 30,000 euros, and the remaining 30,000 will be conditional on the acceptance of a completed final report at the end of the 6 months. In terms of the eligible costs, there are the 6 categories which the eligible costs will fall into: personnel, consumables, depreciation, subcontracting, other and indirect costs. And indirect costs are automatically calculated, so it's really the 5 categories which you need to think about. It is a grant. The grant is a lump sum, but we encourage you to keep all the records. If you do get funded, you'll be encouraged to keep all the records of your expenditures in case of any future audits. But it's a simplified lump sum grant, which is the model for this call. In terms of the experts who will be reviewing the projects, well, we are also, let's say, on the lookout for experts. And in case anyone on the call on the webinar today is interested, and who's an who has maybe had experience in other EU projects, we're looking for people with at least 5 years of experience in some of those areas which we've mentioned: co-creation and technology facilitation, market prospection, and research experience. And in terms of the call for experts, there'll be an email going out soon to experts that we have already contacts with, but you're also invited, if you're interested, to register on our website. And it's a two-stage procedure which is involved for INNOWWIDE, but all the details are again on the website. So I'll hand back to Chiara for the rest of the webinar. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks a lot. Okay, few more information. Having understood a bit better what the call is about, what are the main elements you need to consider in your VAPs. Few more information about the support INNOWWIDE project can give you, can provide you with. So first of all, find the right partner. I didn't ask how many of you already identified the local partner they want to work with. This is a very important element of your application. So choose your partners carefully and make sure you can demonstrate their engagement and the role in the proposal. If you are still looking for the right partner, if you go on INNOWWIDE website, we have an area dedicated to partner search, and we are partnering up with other European funded platform that support bilateral cooperation between, for example, Europe and Brazil, like Enriching Brazil or Enriching China for Europe-China, or the IPR at desk Latin America. So we will rely on their support to get to help you getting introduced to relevant partners, possible past partners. Be prepared. So the newsletter, the events and webinars are designed to meet your expectations and needs, so answer your questions, engage with project partners. So if we don't have the answer today, we'll make sure we'll find the right answer in a very short term and come back to you. And then indeed remove all doubt. If you still have questions, doubts about your own application, we have an online help desk you can contact. So then the next and last step you have to go through is to apply online by March 31st. Here, a few more slides about what I just said. So the partner search tool, the help desk, events, and about the events, just wanted to mention that tomorrow morning we are running a webinar in German. So for German-speaking interest organizations, it's another opportunity to go deeper in understanding the INNOWWIDE call and details. And then we have, for those of you who are in Portugal, the 27th of February, we are running an info day in Porto. All information again are on our website. And I would now move to the questions you raised during our talk. Okay. So there are questions that are referring to very practical aspects of the application. So is it possible to attach graphs, tables or photos into the application form?
Shall I reply to that, Chiara?
Yes, please.
Okay, so there are places in the application form in the implementation section where you can attach different annexes, different documentation which you'd like to include extra in addition. What I would say is that, I mean, for those companies which are startups, a business plan is required. For those which are not classified as startups, we ask for a a financial viability a calculator. So the business plan is an opportunity to include this kind of material, whereas it's true for the non-startups, you would have to upload that in separately. So please go to the implementation section of the application format, and there you can upload different material. So yeah, that's for that one. I can continue if you like, Kara, with the next one.
Yes, okay, please.
So for about the UK, there's for the second call of INNOWWIDE, there's no problem for UK applicants. They're treated exactly the same as other EU and associated countries. Now for the next question. Yeah, I think it's about chance of proposal success depending on which region you apply for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's not a strict division of funding between the three categories. So in fact, let's say in the evaluation criteria, it's not defined that a certain number of projects has to come from each of those three categories. So you don't need to worry about selecting specific countries which have a higher chance of success. In terms of, I think there was a question about short and medium term in years. Well, I mean, in terms of this cooperation, which you will have to envisage with your partner, that should be, I think, between 1 to 3 years in terms of the time frame of that. Certainly, I think it would be encouraged to if there was let's say the follow-on project from a VAP should be relatively soon. So within a year, we could imagine having a follow-on project, and anything which is longer than that. I mean, then obviously the impact of the INNOWWIDE project is less clear. But I mean, short to medium term in our terms, it's usually between 1 and 3 years. There's a question about the UAE that's included, so no problem to involve the UAE as a target country. The R&D aspect does include technology and design, so there we're really talking about activities which do involve research and development, which involve technological innovation, and design is part of that as well. It was really, I think, the R&D, let's say the reference to R&D is really to differentiate a project where an innovation is being developed, as opposed to projects which are purely commercialization oriented. So where it's purely about let's say legal verifications and let's say a more processes and actions which are more oriented purely towards commercializing an already existing innovation. So that's really the distinction to keep in mind, I think. In terms of how hours should be reported, well, I think I mean, we've had this question raised already, and we don't need to, because it's a lump sum concept behind this call. We don't need to worry too much about how hours are reported to us. But obviously within the consortium, I think the model grant agreement is a good reference point for how you divide up your costs between the partners. So that would be a good reference point. In fact, if something is not on the FAQ, I think we can add something onto the FAQ about this. And the question 8, should the project include any R&D element? Well, the project itself does not need to include an R&D element, but the VAP should prepare the partnership for a future R&D project. So that should be clearly defined as one of the activities of your VAP, that you prepare and you define this future partnership with your local partner.
Yes, it's important to insist on this aspect because these dimension, the R&D dimension, has been stressed more, even more than from the previous call. So experts, evaluators will pay attention on this dimension. Bear in mind. I have a few more questions. I'm going to copy paste them on the. Okay. Sorry. One. Okay. This is one.
So yeah, the TRL is, there is some information on the FAQ about this, about whether, which TRL levels are targeted. It should not be the very highest TRL, because that would mean that obviously no R&D is really left to be performed. So talking about the target market and what's needed for the target market, it should definitely not be the very top of the TRL scale, but please look at the FAQ for further information. I believe there's a part of the FAQ on the website which deals with this.
You can find the FAQ under the help desk section of the website. Can you see my screen? Yes, I think so. So it's here, online help desk, and then you find consult the FAQ. Actually, I'm going to send you this as well. Okay. This link, I'm going to add it to the chat. I think we received another question. 1 second.
Yeah. So you do need a partner in order to apply. What's actually required in the application form is that you upload evidence of contact with that partner, and the fact that you've agreed to work on this project together. So that there has to be a sort of proof from your side that you've contacted the partner and that the partner has agreed to engage in this project with you. So definitely a partner is needed. Now, you will not need to sort of sign any documentation with that partner at the submission stage, but if you are selected, then a contract with that partner will need to be drawn up. So it's a subcontractor in this project. So you, as the lead partner, will be the main beneficiary, but then this contract with the subcontractor will need to be provided if you are to be funded at a later stage, in terms of when you're selected, when you're selected for funding. Then there's a question about personnel expenses. Yeah, that maybe wasn't clear, but in terms of the hours reported, there is a Horizon 2020 model grant agreement, which if it's not already mentioned in the FAQ, then we'll add it. But this is how to calculate those personnel expenses, as opposed to other expenses in the project. So that would be the reference point, the model model 2020 grant agreement. In terms of the minimum criteria for the subcontractor, I'm not quite sure I understand the question. If it means minimum participation, there isn't really a minimum participation. But yeah, that the question's not completely clear to me. I don't know about you, Chiara, but that one needs to be clarified a bit.
Yes, so for example, they are asking, it needs to be an SME. No, again, it has to fall under the categories. It has to be the partner that allows you to develop your viability assessment project in the target country. And the important thing is that you justify very clearly why you selected them, why you are partnering up with this organization in the target country, what is going to be the role, what is the time you foresee for the activities to take place, how do you expect to manage a bit the work with this local partner. I mean, be very clear on how you intend to work together. And what Peter was saying before is true, that at submission time, you don't need to show any agreement yet, I mean, any signed contract, but once selected, you'll be asked to show an agreement, a subcontracting agreement. We saw some cases where at that point, so the project was selected by INNOWWIDE for granting, and then they didn't manage to sign this grant agreement, this subcontracting agreement with the local partner. So even if it's not asked at this time, alert your local partner that this is something that will be needed in case you'll be selected. So make sure that there is full commitment of this organization to work with you from day -1, not even 0, from day -1 till the end of the 6 months and beyond, of course.
Yeah, that's very important. Also, because quite a few projects in the first call were actually ineligible because they didn't provide the right proof that they had actually contacted a partner and that the partner had agreed to participate in the INNOWWIDE project. So, so that's very important. In terms of question 13 about market entry having a lower focus, not really, because although R&D is very important, so is the fact that we're helping companies to launch their innovation in a third country. So the fact that the innovation will be commercialized, will be let's say successfully commercialized in the target country is extremely important, which is why market prospection is a key part of the criteria of the activities of the project as well. So that's not, let's say the focus is on both areas. Yes, a future R&D project is should be envisaged and defined in the VAP, but that doesn't mean that the market entry should not be very clearly outlined and explained with the strategy to go to market in the target country. So question 14, what happens in the course of the project? The main subcontractor needs to be changed. That can happen. That has happened in terms of well, I mean, there are different, so in terms of a minor subcontractor, this is really okay. For the main subcontractor, before submission, after submission, but before funding, there were some cases of that in the first call. This would have to be fully justified, and obviously you would have to prove that the replacement main subcontractor could fulfill all of the activities of the original one, but I do believe that has happened. That there was one or two cases where this change needed to take place. But I mean, this is obviously very difficult if a project is ongoing to find a main subcontractor to take the place of the original one. So normally you are funded in order to have a project with a subcontractor where let's say your evaluation takes place based on that original project idea. So it's not changing the main subcontractor is not something which can easily be done. That's that's the bottom line, really. That a minor subcontractor is definitely doable, but a main subcontractor is more problematic, given that the evaluation takes place based on the initial main subcontractor, and then the contract is provided as well before the funding actually goes through. In terms of question 15, how is the partner funded? Is it from the grant? Well, yes, the subcontractor, it's envisaged that part of the budget does go to the subcontractor. So clearly the subcontractor has an important role in the VAP, and therefore it is envisaged, and you should have a part of that budget from the 60,000 euros going to contracting activities in the local market from your subcontractor. And question 16, are model subcontracts available? Well, we thought about this, but given that the situations can be so different between different countries, between different types of organizations, we don't actually provide a model subcontract. But we just encourage you to find a standard agreement which is acceptable to both sides, wherever you can find those standard agreements. We received a number of different types of agreements. It's not so crucial to have one specific type, but it must cover, when you come to drafting a contract with your subcontractor, it must cover all of the activities which the subcontractor will complete for the VAP. So yeah, it must be comprehensive. That's something to keep in mind. So I think that's all the questions that I can see.
Yes, thank you, Peter. I don't see any other question raised in the chat box, so I think we covered quite a lot of aspects of the call, the application form, the subcontracting dimension, the partnership aspect, the R&D focus. Well, quite a lot of elements. Yeah. Wait, just 1 second. I see there is. Yes, there is a question. Can incubators, accelerators, or tech hubs be subcontractors in third countries? Why not?
Yes, that can happen, but they have to be clearly, let's say, local entities. So we've had the question whether, for example, a Danish research center can be, which is based in a third country, can be the subcontractor. Well, in that case, no, because it's not clearly a local partner. It's let's say the link to the home country is too close. So I think there's more details in the FAQ again about this, but we are looking for a clearly local partner to be engaged.
Yeah, and then there is another question that is again about the application form. If there is any specific length in the application questions. So.
Sorry, any specific
length? So I don't know if
there are lengths. Yeah, so lengths are envisaged in the application form for each of the text fields. So let's say there are maximum word counts which you need to stick to, otherwise you can't submit. But if you do have further information you want to upload, you can use the an annex to the application form to upload further details if you like. So that is a change between the second call and the first call. The first call had longer texts, but we've tried to shorten the application form this time. So you'll have to be more concise. If you applied in the first call, then you'll see that you have to be more concise in the second call.
Okay, so we have another one. Can an international company participate as local subcontractor? Yes.
Yeah, as long as they have a local subsidiary, then they have a local business, then they can participate. And question 19, the main subcontractor. Well, the aim is that the main subcontractor is the one that you will be working with for the future partnership. So as Chiara mentioned, this is a bit of a change from the first call, but we are trying to emphasize that there should be this strategic relationship and, let's say, longer term relationship with the main subcontractor.
And we already answered the last one. Good. I think that we are done for today. I don't see any further question. Chat box. No? Good.
Right.
So I think we can close our session. Again, if you still have questions, doubts, please contact us through the online help desk and check our guidelines, the call text, because most of the answers are already there. If not all, but most of them, 99% of the answers are in there. You can email us. Again, the website is rich in terms of also best practices. So winners from the previous call, listen to their tips on how to write a successful application. They emphasize a lot the importance of the strategic partnership. Be very clear and about the way you will be working with your local partner or partners. And the other suggestion is that you don't find yourself preparing the application during the last week of March. Start preparing it as soon as possible, because it takes time. And as you saw, competition is quite high. I mean, we received already quite a lot of applications for the first round. We expect to receive again many of them for this second round. So be prepared, and best of luck for this application. You will receive an email with the presentation and of course the link to the recording of the session, so you can watch it again. And last but not least, as soon as we close the session, you will see on your screen quick survey, 5 questions, 30 seconds basic in total to answer them all, to give us a feedback on this session and help us improving our services. So I shut up. I thank Peter for his time and his availability to present the call and answer all these questions. And I thank you all on this webinar for your attention and your participation, very active participation. Bye, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Goodbye.
Bye.